All right, let's try to do this again, guys. All my little babies here. Claire, you're being pretty precocious. Good morning, sweethearts. Or, hey, guys. It's actually midday around here now. We've had a hell of a morning. A hell of a morning. Hi, Doo-Doo. Hi, Vern. Who wants a pixie? Hi, sweethearts. Let's get everybody situated. Hi, Daisy Doo-Doo. Claire, can I set you down, or are you going to be a pain in the butt and yell at Daddy? Come here, Vern. You want to sit down, bud? There's my Vern. Okay, Pixie. All right. Good morning, everybody. For a second time, I do apologize. I ran this video a little while ago. I am going to speak quick, but I'm also kind of try to be concise so I don't go 26 minutes like I did earlier. But I do get distracted easy. I would like to start with a quick update on Mama Pac. And I'm glad I actually postponed this video because the news just keeps getting better. As you know, I took her in. I'm not happy with what all the concerns of the results are. We could be ending up with everything from cancer, Cushing's, good Lord, IBS, terrible shit in her gallbladder. Like, oh my God, what more can you throw on this poor woman? And all this stems from her symptoms, which would be her, okay, sweetheart. I'm gonna put little Claire in my shirt. How's that? Does that give us somewhere? Yeah, hopefully you guys can still see her. So that makes it pretty bad across the board. Her symptoms were, the ones that were scaring me were this constant straining. Go to the bathroom, a prolapse on her rectum, and a little bit of blood coming out of both areas from straining so hard. So I'm very proud to say that, as you guys saw in the treat video yesterday, Gordon Ramsay to the rescue. She ended up eating almost a full smash, well, technically half a smash burger, but then proceeded to come home and didn't have her straining poop. She strained a little bit, but nothing really came out, so okay, she was pretty empty, that's okay. But then she proceeded to eat a full dinner. This morning, not once but twice, she pooped, and her poops were not these little stringy things that, like, you know, there's a tiny little hole, everything's inflamed, and it can't get out. They were normal-sized poops. There was not a lot of straining. Come here, Brian. Come here, buddy. And that was good. And then again this morning at breakfast, she ate like a horse. She took her medicines. She hates her medicines. So for her to eat 3 different pills today with cheese and peanut butter on them, by choice, these are all wonderful signs. She's very alert. She's up and about. I'm going to keep her in the garage area. That's where we feed. That's where yin and yang, a lot of the quieter ones are. I have to do that because in the clubhouse, unfortunately, the walk-in poops was a disaster, as you can imagine, and I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible. So that's a good update on Mama Pac. Quickly moving into Instagram, just for a quick second. You guys on Instagram that are subscribers, while I cannot offer you the group page, like the subscribers group page that's on Facebook where the staff would post and everything, if that's available, I don't know how to do it yet, so I apologize. But what I can offer you, and you should have received the post last night, only in the subscribers group, or in the subscribers page, a code for your 10% off everything on our stores. And that would also get you advantages. I'm going to put any of the new products that we have up, such as the tumblers or whatever, anything that new comes to us, you guys will get first crack at them. And that benefits you in the tumblers, for example, because we only run those in small, limited runs. I don't know how many we're going to do before we move on to the next style, because I got so many cool styles to do. Now, with that being said, the nuts and bolts of this video is going to be about vaccinations. And it's going to be a lot more than just this, but the end result is that I am going to give you my opinion on vaccinations, and I am not an anti-vaxxer, okay? I am a person that's fed up with the irresponsibility of how vaccinations are done, both in humans and animals. And I'll try to stay out of the human realm as much as possible. But the reason this was prompted is because somebody on Instagram, who I did block, and I don't mind sharing their handle. You can go ahead and blow them up for all I care. Blow them up, meaning, you know, annoy them. Is Daddy Not Dandy, who just out of nowhere reaches out to message me saying that they love what I do. I love your mission, but I can't believe your stance on vaccinations. I was going to donate, and I'm not going to donate. So that really set me off, guys. So number one, if that's the way you feel, okay. You're misinformed on my stance on vaccinations. But if that's the way you feel, fine. But why do you got to personally reach out to me to rub it in my nose? You just lit a fire under my eye, man. You just poked the damn bear. You know, you're lucky I'm not close to you because you get hurt. I'm sorry. But anyway, so it pissed me off because I did lose a few people also. You want to get down? When I did put a post up about vaccinations, and it basically was stating that, a story up, stating that vaccinations are overdone. I don't appreciate them. Oh, you're an anti-vaxxer. It's not black and white like that. And for any of you that side with that, that say it is black and white like that, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm going to call that to your face because it's not that way. So here's my stance on vaccinations. And I'm going to go into a lot of detail on this. Are certain vaccinations needed? Needed, not required, needed. Absolutely they are. And the one that stands out the most to me, because I've experienced 2 of the 3 things I'm about to mention that's covered by it, is parvo and distemper. So the distemper vaccine, I feel, is extremely important. Much like when we were children, most of us that are older, we didn't have to get a yearly flu, we didn't have to get a yearly COVID, we didn't have to get any of these bullshit shots, okay? They're just, oh, it must have come back in a new strain. Come on, you guys are being fucking taken advantage of. You're not smart enough. You say, oh, well, the flu, which has never ever changed in millions of years, spontaneously just mutates every damn year. We gotta get a new version of it. So, and the reason that's bad isn't that it's what they're doing with the flus. It's all about money. That's all it is. But it's bad because of what goes in all of these shots. So while I say that distemper is the most important one, much like our polio, mumps, measles vaccines when we were a kid, you get them once and done. We don't have to get them every 3 years again. Figure that out. Why is that a case, huh? So, Vern, honey, you gotta get up, buddy. She's not gonna move. Vern. You're gonna have to listen to Vern bark because he's not going to jump up there. Doo-doo, can you come here, baby, so he'll shut up? All right, just have to listen to him bark. Because you're gonna ruin my take. So anyway, shit, where was I? Oh, there he comes. Come here, big guy. You're being quite obnoxious. Come here, baby. You wanna come up here? Come here. Come here. There you go, big guy. Sweet man. Okay, so now let's move on to rabies. Well, rabies I have to have. Rabies, every one of my dogs are vaccinated for rabies. Every one of my dogs are vaccinated for distemper. Where my problem lies is what's in the rabies what's in all vaccines, and 2 things. Number 1, how do they grow the vaccine? How do they grow the viruses to put in the vaccines? I'll explain that in a minute. And then how do they shuttle that into your system faster and better? That's called adjuvants, and I'll get into that in a second. All of this is terrible. And then, of course, we talk about the sheer volume of these things that go into the dog's systems. So, starting with rabies. Did you guys know that I believe 2 people died of rabies last year in the whole United States? Okay, and I'm going to get back to this in a second. Leptospirosis is also what they call a zoonotic drug. A zoonotic drug is a zoonotic virus, not a drug. A zoonotic virus is a virus such as rabies, such as leptospirosis, that transfers from different species. So it can go to dogs, to cats, to humans, etc., etc. So we can contract it to other animals. We can't get parvo or distemper through these dogs, okay? So then, Bobby, why in the world would it be so more important to get distemper shots versus the other ones? Well, distemper can kill a dog, parvo can kill a dog, and it can wipe out lots of dogs over time. And there's no stopping it. Rabies, you got a pretty clear idea of what's going on with it. And unfortunately, that dog's going to pass away. And God forbid if you don't catch it quick enough in humans, they will pass away. But we're talking 2 damn cases in the United States of people that died last year from what I Googled. Now, let's compare that with leptospirosis, which is also a new zoonotic drug. Why do we have to require to have a vaccine for rabies, which can kill you, and not for leptospirosis, which can kill you? Okay, it's a bacteria, not a virus. I believe that's right. I'm sorry. That is a vaccine. Or I'm sorry, that is a virus. Excuse me. I know I'm going crazy here. But did you know that 1 out of 100,000 people contracted lepto last year? And I did not get the results on how many of those people died. But 2 people contracted rabies and died last year in the United States. 3,500, give or take, contracted leptospirosis, another virus that can kill you. Okay, so why are we not mandated to give them lepto? Well, I'm glad we're not, first off, because of all the vaccines, the leptospirosis vaccine has the worst amount of side effects that can kill your dog worse than the virus itself can. So let's get into what's in a vaccine real quick. Let's get into what the problems are with this. First off, rabies is not a problem here, okay? Okay, we don't need a rabies vaccine. And well, I shouldn't say that. I am not against vaccinations. Safe vaccination once in your life, just like we got, remember, the mumps, the measles, and polio and all that shit? We got that once. Somehow that worked for our whole lives. Same shuttling system, same adjuvants, all that shit. Why in the world does it work for us but not dogs? Okay, fair enough. I don't have the answer to that. But, so I'm all for getting the rabies vaccine once. Let's get it done with. Absolutely. Excuse me. But to do it once a year and then once every 3 years over time becomes a problem. And this is why. Here's where we get into it. How do they get the rabies virus into the vaccine? They actually have to grow it onto cells, living tissue, and that is ground up added with the adjuvants to shuttle it in the system, and the virus gets put into your system or the dog system, and your body is supposed to fight that off, right? That's how a vaccine works. Okay, so what do they grow? How do you grow the virus onto cells? Well, for humans, they do use human DNA, and I'll get into that in a quick second too. But on dogs, they do not. They use bovine or cattle fetuses, and they use chicken embryos, and they grow these viruses on these other species of animals, and then stick that shit in your dog. Now, even with a human being, and I'll back this up with something very plain and simple. Even with human beings, we have terrible autoimmune deficiencies in this world. They're only getting worse and worse as we get older, as time goes on. Why is that? I truly believe that's the amount of vaccinations over and over again, because you are putting foreign DNA in your body. So with humans, even though you're getting human DNA in your body in every vaccination you get, it's not your DNA. Mother Nature's a smart son of a gun, man. She coded us all individually. And here's where I'll back that up. And anybody know of somebody that's had a heart transplant or ever know anything about heart transplants? How many drugs does that person have to be on so that their bodies will continue to accept that foreign heart? And they have to be on them for the rest of their lives. If not, the body rejects the heart because it's not their DNA. Do you get that? It's that freaking simple, man. So why would we be shoving foreign DNA into our bodies for vaccinations? Okay, I think in the future, maybe for humans at least, they pull some blood from you, use your cells, spin the vaccine down once this becomes a logical thing to do, put it back inside you, then all of a sudden you're gonna cure probably 99% of all autoimmune deficiencies. Now, why do I think it's an autoimmune deficiency stemming from these things? Very simple. You put foreign animal proteins into your body. Well, for the dogs, we'll stick with animals. Foreign animal proteins into their bodies, chicken, cattle. What happens when you do that? Along with the virus, your body's little soldiers come out to work. Your white blood cells come in there and kick ass. They clean house. That's your immune system at work. That's how you work on the virus. Problem is a few of those cells that hang out, those chicken embryo cells or those cattle fetuses, they somehow get recognized because there's so many of them. Your white blood cells go, oh, wait a minute. We've been fighting this so long. That's the norm. Okay, this one's okay. So you've got some randoms floating around in your system. And that's just one time. Imagine continuing over time. Shot after shot after shot. More and more of this stuff comes into your body. And what happens is your white blood cells, who once thought of this as the enemy, have now surrounded this and think of this as what they're protecting. So then it attacks your own body, your own immune system, kicks your own body's ass, which is what an autoimmune deficiency is, and it manifests itself in many different things. Arthritis, psoriasis, etc., etc. And that's all because of vaccinations, by sticking shit in your body that doesn't belong. Okay, so there's problem number one. And how many people have all these problems? Oh, he's just getting old, as arthritis. You sure about that? You sure it's not from a lifetime of vaccinations? Let's move on to the second thing. Even worse. The adjuvants. Adjuvants are mercury and aluminum. And why these? I don't understand. I didn't get into it enough to understand why these shuttle these things into the body so much better. But that has been the running standard even for humans since God knows when. Okay? Now they have ones recently coming out. They're called thimerosal-free. And thimerosal-free means basically mercury-free. But not all of those are even aluminum-free. These are heavy metals. You spill mercury on a floor, a hazmat team has to come pick it up. Why are they injecting that into anybody's bodies? Think about this shit. It doesn't. And the reason I'm also going off on this, guys, is because I've had a lot of personal experience, and I believe I've had a lot of deaths around here prematurely due to over-vaccination, which is where my stance is. Not getting vaccinated, but certain ones, yes, not over-vaccinating. So, this mercury will kill them. It will cause terrible side effects. Oh, a little bit. Are you close? No. One very obvious one. When I first started doing this 5 or 6 years ago, I was going to Buckystown. Buckystown was using old school, non-thimerosal-free, mercury-laced vaccinations. And I was doing everything. I was doing my duty for the dogs, right? They're sitting there, I'm giving them my word that I'm taking care of them, and I'm literally killing them because of what I got to do, right? So they get their distemper. They get their rabies. Hell, even back then, I think they convinced me to give them Bordetella. I'll get into that in a minute, too. So what ends up happening? I got bald spots. I got abscesses. Nugget had an abscess, all at the injection sites. And I had at least 24 of them that I showed the vet, and they didn't manifest themselves in a day or a week. 6 weeks down the road, these things showed up. The more I started researching, the more I found out that's when it happens. Sure, you can have immediate side effects to this stuff, like those, but you get everything up to death from these vaccinations over the next 3 to 6 months. And who would, I have enough anecdotal experience Who would have thought that probably 70% of the deaths that I have here, 60 to 70%, happen within 3 months after my vaccinations every single year. That's enough to make you think. 1 year it was all of these injection sites, along with CHF and along with pulmonary hypertension. All year long for the first 3 years, never heard anything with pulmonary hypertension. I believe Texas Pinky died of this. I believe, who else? Sweet Pea died of this. All around the same time frame. Just literally dropped dead. Pulmonary hypertension, whoop, just happens to be a side effect of vaccine. Oh, mercury poisoning, great. And again, like I said, they manifest themselves within 3 to 6 weeks after. In the last couple of years, we've moved to thimerosal-free, and the side effects don't go away completely, but they have been lessened, I believe. You don't see us over the last couple of years having so many dogs dying. I mean, we had Annie, who was in CHF for 4.5 years. She was a tank. But you didn't have all these dogs come up. Ollie, and so many other dogs literally show up with cancer, or Little J within 3 months, cancer, riddled around his neck. Ollie, perfectly healthy, 2 months later after a shot, drops dead of heart attack, pulmonary hypertension. But the last couple of years, since my new doctor has switched to thimerosal-free, I don't see any of those side effects anymore. I'm not saying I don't see side effects, I'm not saying I don't see sickness, but I don't see it as severely as that. Now we've talked about the things that are in it that I don't like. Now let's talk about the frequency. And yes, everybody knows, and unfortunately, if you've got a doctor as good as they are that says, well, I'll only give them a half dose because they're a Chihuahua, they can lose their license over that. I'm not saying, so I would say keep that shit to yourself to protect you, your dogs, and your doctor, because they're actually doing a good thing. But so here's the problem, and that's the first problem. Every single rabies vaccine, what's good enough for a Great Dane is good enough for a Chihuahua. Something tells me there's something wrong with that. And a doctor tried to once convince me that, well, there needs to be a certain amount of the virus entered into their system, and it's pretty much the same for all dogs, because all dogs have the same amount of cells or whatever. I don't know. But they certainly don't need the adjuvants. Okay? A Chihuahua does not need the same amount as a Great Dane of mercury in their system. Not that it should have any mercury in their system. They certainly don't need the same amount of foreign animal bodies that a bigger dog would have. Okay? This is why these little guys are so banged up. So you've got the sheer amount in a single vaccination, and then you've got this maddening bullshit about, oh, you have to vaccinate them, and then you have to back it up with distemper 3 weeks later for your puppy, and then you have to do the 1 year, and then you have to do the 3 year, and the rabies you have to do it as a baby, and then your 1 year, and your 3 year. And sadly for me, because I have to have my kennel license, I have to do this, at least with the rabies. Okay? So like I said, every one of my dogs has been vaccinated for distemper, and unfortunately they continue to have to be vaccinated for rabies. Now some of you say, Bobby's, what about titer testing? I'll get into that in a second. But so the problem is that we think of a dog, and this is also why I don't want to adopt any out once they get here, because they've been banged up enough. I've got a couple dogs that I can almost guarantee you in the 6 or 7 years of their life, judging by the system that they've been in, the history, whether there's a vaccination record or not, they've been vaccinated 6 or 7 times because there's no record of it. Oh, you get a puppy from the shelter, of course it's been vaccinated. You lose the records when you dump it off at another shelter because you're one of those shitty people, new shelter vaccinates them again. And then you take them to your doctor and they have to be vaccinated within next year again. And all of a sudden you spin this once or twice. In 6 years, the dog's had 5 vaccinations for the same goddamn thing. So I have a real big problem with this. I've seen the adverse side effects. I've seen dogs die in my arms, and I'm sitting here promising to take care of them, okay? So I have a really big problem with the whole vaccination industry, okay? We are over-vaccinating the shit out of dogs, okay? Do I think that, like I said, rabies, you want to get it done once and it doesn't hurt the dog? If they can figure that out, I'm all for it. It's a blanket. Let's get it done. Leptospirosis, I'll never do it. It comes from rodent urine, hoarding cases, barns and shit like that. We don't have that problem here. With an exception of an extreme situation, you'll never end up having a leptospirosis case from a groomer or a vet's office or a puppy playground. I mean, those things, they kind of tend to fly in those really fucked up areas. Like I said, we had one come in, Miss Puddles, when I first started doing this. She was diagnosed with lepto right before she died. She was 17 and a half years old. She came from a hoarding case. Her owner died, and she was dying anyway. This was hospice for her. But lepto certainly didn't help it. She didn't pass it on to anybody else. But the people that had her, we're talking boxes of magazines and books up to the ceiling, all this other shit. Mice, rodent urine and shit everywhere in the house. disgusting environmental situation. So that's the only place that comes in. So I want to take that off the board. I said I was going to get into Bordetella. I might as well. I don't even want to vaccinate against Bordetella. Okay, and I tell you why. Medical or animal veterinary medicine is fucking in the Stone Ages. They're remedial compared to human medicine. And for any vet tech out there or doctor that wants to take issue with this is coming to me from head of cardiology at CVCA locally, who's basically saying that, you know, Bobby, like, I'm sorry, vet medicine is just bullshit compared to human medicine. They don't take the time or effort to actually, you know, train the doctors to do what's right. Perfect example, anybody got a dog with a heart murmur? You got a grade 1 heart murmur, if you're a fucking human, you're already having open heart surgery. They just put them on fucking meds until they die. That's the difference right there. That's the difference of caring, okay? So vet medicine sucks. The vaccines, it's completely up to the pharmaceutical companies, as it always is with humans. And again, I'm sorry, I'm on my soapbox right now, but I have a real problem with this. So do I want vaccinations? Yes, distemper, most important one. Get the distemper, okay? That is absolutely parvo, canine influenza, distemper virus, and so many others. Covers all that shit. These are the things that can kill your dog. For the most part, your Chihuahua is not going to be running through the woods and get bitten by a raccoon. And if it does, it's probably going to die. Not from rabies, but from being attacked. It's like, I got to give Claire, little baby Claire here, I got to give her a rabies vaccine. Do you think this dog's ever going to come in contact with something that's got rabies? So, where was I? Sorry. I'm just a little excited about, Now, here's the biggest problem I have with all of this. There is a way around this. And I don't know if it's money. I don't know if it's the fact that the politicians don't give a shit, just like they don't give a shit about anything else that we do. You've seen this in America lately, last fucking 5 or 6 years, 10 years. Just they're taking advantage of every one of us for financial gain for themselves, right? Because there's no such thing as money, or there's no money in a cure. There's only money in customers, and that goes for our dogs too. So, why would they want to introduce titers testings? Now, some states do. Don't get me wrong. Some states like Delaware, right next to me, has it available. Maryland, not so much. I can't even get my doctors to do it. And if I got them to do it, I still have to get the rabies vaccine because animal control will not allow me to do it without a rabies vaccination report or record. So even if I do it, I still got to give it to them. Now, some of you might say, well, I'll just do the vaccine. And I'm going to start with this. If you say this following thing, fuck you, you don't deserve a dog. A lot of people have said, well, I do titers, but it's just so much more expensive. Really? So your dog's health isn't worth, okay, so you spend $150 for a titers test versus $40 for a vaccination? Oh my God. And then you don't have to give them that jab again? You don't have to give it 3 years from now, 6 years. Instead of giving the vaccination, you give them a titers test. It will show that there is enough, if there is enough of the vaccination in their bodies and their system still to fight off that infection or that disease. Why wouldn't we be doing this blanket across the board? It blows my freaking mind. Okay? So yes. So in closing, guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I have a major freaking issue, and I didn't get to Bordetella. We'll talk about that another time. I have a major issue with vaccinations. I have a major issue with the way they're conducted. It's about money. It's about bureaucracy. And nobody gives a shit. Not even the medical industry is standing up for them. And it's disgusting. These little babies are our heart and soul. And to see them die 7 years younger than they should and living miserably and not as healthy as they could be with all their autoimmune deficiencies and cardiac problems and everything else that they got is all brought on us by the fucking mainstream food companies and the crap they're feeding them and all these vaccinations. That's literally all it is. You get rid of that shit and do it right, your dogs will be healthy. So, you know, and again, I deal with that 100 times over every day. Every little thing that goes wrong. I'm biting my teeth, I'm gritting my teeth. I'm scared to death for them. So, my stance on vaccination, in closing, I support vaccinations. I support rabies because I have to. If I didn't have to, as many of you, nobody would be getting a goddamn rabies shot if you didn't have to do it. Distemper, I would do it. I would say you must do it. You must do it because those diseases are bad, okay? And they're very prevalent. So, they're very frequently out there. So, leptospirosis, I would never do it. I have never done it, nor will I do it. Research all of this for yourself if you want. And Bordetella. There's ways to cure Bordetella as far as like with some antibiotics that why would you get the vaccination in many cases? I guess I'll touch on it. In many cases, when you inoculate them or give them the shot, it gives them Bordetella. And here's that great medical industry for veterinary medicine. They don't even know what the fuck it is. Well, it's a combination. It's a hodgepodge of viruses and bacteria. And it can be any combination of such. And it doesn't even cover all of those problems. So you can give them Bordetella because part of the stuff that's in Bordetella wasn't the shit it's supposed to fix. It's ridiculous. It's like, let me throw darts at a dartboard. You go to school for how many years to do this shit? And I figured it out on my, and you know, forgive me, I'm sure there's gonna be a vet tech out there saying, I'm remedial, I'm stupid, I'm backyard voodoo magic medicine. Well, I'm telling you, I got more hands-on experience probably than most of you do. So, and I've seen it, and I pay attention. I don't just have it, I see it, I go look at it every goddamn day. Okay, I watch every single thing in their characters, in their behavior, in their health. And once I see that there's an issue, man, I'm keyed in on it, and I'm watching every single thing go on. And I'm paying attention to every single thing we get from the doctor, okay? What happens now? What happens now? What happens now? Because I don't want to ever go through that again if I don't have to, for them or the next one, okay? So I'm getting off my soapbox, guys. I'm so sorry. Again, I am for vaccinations, but we don't do anything responsible. Guys, there's no, shh. Oh, is there Aunt Wanda's out there? Okay. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for hearing me on my soapbox. Just remember, I'm not against vaccinations. We're, the medical industry, pet industry, is just, dogs are telling me to stop. So, all right, guys. Claire, baby, Daddy's got to get up, so I got to let you down, okay? Good girl, sweetheart. Hi, Vern. Daddy's all done.